All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. Please hit the like button. Please hit the notification button, the subscribe button, but most of all, hit the love button because I want everybody to love one another. All right, look, want to talk about something. I make a lot of videos and I read a lot and I study a lot and all these different things, but something that I think is lacking in a lot of what goes on, especially on social media and on the internet, it's solutions to our problems as descendants of Alkebulan. Okay, so we need solutions to the problems. We know the problems exist. We know certain things exist already. So what we need is a way to implement some solutions to these problems. And so all of this is coming from a friend of mine who made a post on the internet. And basically he said, well, if you could do anything for black people, what would you do? And so uniformly, most of the answers were pretty good. But the one thing that I realized after reading over all the answers, I was like, all of this stuff is actually, most of the solutions are possible. And not only are they possible, but they're probable. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, this is real interesting because, a lot of times we think that things are, I'm not going to, and I never think of things as impossible, but sometimes we think things are impossible to achieve. But truly and realistically, they really are not. And then I started thinking, I said, well, what's actually stopping us from doing most of the things on that list? And I think it is that we're caught up in a matrix that we have been a part of for so long that we are so naturalized into it that we don't think that we can get outside of that matrix, and we don't think that we can actually do things, except for in certain fields. Okay, so and basically what I'm talking about is things outside of entertainment and sports. Everything basically that the descendants of Alkebulan have done has been, since we've been in this country, has basically been what? It's been sports and entertainment. Most of the people who are rich or who got a lot of stuff or whatever, most of them have gotten rich through sports or entertainment. All right. And that's one paradigm that needs to change. All right. And so that's why we're always talking about, well, you need to do this or you need to do that. And a lot of times it's the fact of most of the inventions, and I've talked about this before, most of the things that have been invented since the advent of the United States have been invented by the descendants of Alkebulan. All right. They have not been invented, the majority of things, and even a lot of the technology right now. I mean, I'm talking about like small circuits, microcircuitry, cell phones, even like call waiting and all these different things, stuff that we take for granted now. All of these things, the cell phone, the air conditioning, heating systems, refrigeration, all of the things that have improved the world and have improved our society were invented. So go pull up a list, and I'm saying do this for your own edification. Pull up a list of those inventors and those inventions, the stoplight, the lawnmower, there are literally hundreds, of inventions, and a lot of stuff that Europeans, Caucasians have taken credit for. They're not their inventions. My favorite one, of course, is Jack Daniels. And I'm sure people can appreciate that Jack Daniels was invented by a man from Alkebulan. All right. So let's not get the game twisted. What we have not done and what we need to do is figure out ways to capitalize, because remember, we live in a capitalistic society. We live in a capitalistic system. Okay. And even more so than white supremacy and slavery and all of that, the capitalistic system is what motivated it. Even slavery was motivated by what? By capitalists. right? Because they realized what? What did they realize? They realized that they needed a free form of labor or cheap labor in order to make money off of whatever invention it was. And then the other thing was, but the only thing is they didn't play fair. All right, they stole the inventions. They stole, even stuff like right down to peanut butter and lotions and all that kind of stuff. And because we were not citizens and we were considered to be property, whatever we invented was considered to be the property of, the slave master. All right. But in reality, the reality of it is we taught them how to farm. We taught them how to, basically everything, how to hunt, everything that has been established, even in skilled trades. I can recall, back in the day, like what they did was during the 70s and 80s, they got us out of skilled trades and started making us, into these, I guess, walking people that could fill positions in corporations and run computers and do all that kind of stuff. And that's basically what happened. And then what's happening now is that the Mexicans, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna speak the truth. They got Mexicans and everybody else doing skilled trades. So, but those are the trades that actually make money on a daily basis. All right. So let's not get the game twisted. If you can lay bricks, if you can pave, lay cement, asphalt, carpentry, plumbing, any of those skilled trades, you can make money on a daily basis in the United States of America easy. All right, because there's tons of stuff being built. But over the years, Industrial Revolution came in, all of our people got out of those trades and other people started getting into the trades, right? Even farming, all of the crops and everything that need to be picked, we don't pick them no more. We used to pick them, but that's because we did it for free. And then they figured out a way. They said then after slavery was over, what did they do? They figured out a way to get us to migrate. So that's how the Great Migration occurred. We went from the South, being an agrarian society, being a farming society, to being an industrial society. So basically everybody went to the big city and you were free. And so you went to the big city and you worked in a factory. Or you worked, you like Detroit, like where I'm from, everybody worked in the car plants, and you could make a good living working in the car plants, but you were still a slave because you weren't the proprietor of that car plant. Okay. So, but it was a Alkebulan man that invented the automobile, not Ford. Ford credited with building the assembly line, but technically the first automobile was a person from Alkebulan or a descendant of Alkebulan. So what we need to do is we need to take all of that stuff back. That's how come that's why I'm so adamant about when people give credit for stuff that they didn't do, because that's like one of our major problems. So anyway, let me give an example. So like solar energy, okay, I love solar. I think it's like one of the greatest things in the world, all right? But here's the problem, all right? The government has taken it. See, so once again, the system has taken it and has regulated it to the point where in some areas you can't make money off of it, right? But technically, if you looked at the technology, if you looked at how the technology works, right, we're talking about solar power, wind power, all of that. Well, you can actually make a system where every poor person in the world could live for free, have electricity, have water. They have solar cells now that actually produce clean, fresh water without digging wells. I'm not saying you can still dig wells, and guess what? You can use solar and you can use wind power. They were using, what y'all don't realize is, do you realize that black people were using this stuff like early on in the history of farming? All right. What do you think those, remember you used to see the windmills out in the middle of there? Well, they dug wells and they used the windmill power, to pump the water out of the wells. Simple. Been going on for hundreds of years. But now all of a sudden, It's like, in order to do this, the cost is prohibitive, or they try to figure out a way to tax you or something like that. But the truth be told is that you can make an entire off-grid system with everything that you need. And the only cost that there would be towards anybody is if you own the land yourself, would be have to pay property taxes. But everything else could be, and you could grow food. Just like, have you ever, like when I was young, and I kept trying to figure this out, but when I was young, everybody had fruit trees. Everybody had fruit trees in their yards. I remember my grandmother, she had a pear tree, an apple tree, and she had peppermint, and she had all of this stuff in her yard, and because I can remember my grandfather sitting there, with a glass of tea or whatever, and he had lemon and peppermint in it. And I used to be like, and it all came from the backyard. And she used to make apple pies and preserves and all kind, apple butter and all that kind of stuff. And now you go, there are no fruit trees in the United States. I mean, unless you're in Florida, or maybe like out here in Arizona, we got oranges and grapefruits and lemons and limes and avocados. But for the most part, wherever you go, you don't see fruit trees anymore. And half of the trees out here, the fruit that they produce is not any good anymore because nobody continued the upkeep of the trees, right? So you got to think about stuff like that. If everybody said, okay, let's get 5 acres of land, let's buy, and buy everything that you need, and then completely go off grid, they couldn't handle it. And the other thing is, we don't look at our economic power. We got to stop. That's why I know my boys be watching football. I know they watching football because they talk about it. They on there. Oh yeah, this, that, and other thing. But look, do y'all realize that we are financing our own demolition and destruction? And I say demolition because it's serious. These people don't care about us. They making money hand over fist, and the people that own the football teams are some of the biggest corporations, multinational corporations in the world. And we're going out paying money to keep them alive and to kill ourselves. So we those are the solutions. We got to turn that around. And I don't care how much you like something, you have to create your own. Malcolm X was right. Elijah Muhammad was right. Religious belief aside, throw religion out of it, but take the message that they gave. You don't have to necessarily be in the Nation of Islam or be a Muslim or anything like that. But if you are self-reliant and self-sufficient, then you don't have to worry about this crap. The problem that we have is that we're reliant upon them, and they have created the matrix so it's at their advantage. We have to change that paradigm. We have to, so everything that, and that's what they were putting on there, clean water. We need clean water. We need, good food to eat. We need, because the stuff that they're feeding us has been killing us for years. And I know, I grew up like that. Pig feet, chitlins, whatever. That's how you grew up. Black eyed peas. A lot of us grew up like that. Don't trip. I'm almost 60 years old. Don't trip. It's how it is, and it's how it was. And people, and it's just now that we starting to go, now we're vegan and we're this, that, and the other thing. But that's how before we were placed into this paradigm, that's how we used to eat. If you look at the West, look at the West African diet. Look at how the people over there eat. If you've ever been there, you realize that they don't eat a lot of junk. They don't eat a lot of sugar. They almost no processed sugar at all. Okay, so we've been doing it the right way for a long time, but we allowed somebody else to change the paradigm and to change the matrix on us, and we have to change that back. And we have to start thinking outside the box and using the technology. Just like I told y'all, just like when people started telling on these police officers and stuff like that, and all the cameras, the body cams, people with cell phones and everything else started filming this stuff, that's when things started changing and the conversation changed. See, we got to use this technology to our advantage. And the other thing is, and it was us that created it. Anyway, that's all the time I got. I'm going to talk about this again. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, hit the love button. I love you all.